Hi everybody, this is Alt Samurai, and today I'm gonna be reacting to ReZero Season 4, Episode 7. But first, let's talk more about Episode 6. So, I don't really think I said anything about the first Julius versus Reed fight, so let's get into it. So first, he goes with the knightly code and tries to give Reed a sword, specifically the sword that the test was started on. Of course, Reed doesn't take it. He's just like, do you want to die? And I think he means it literally. Like, if he actually fought Julius with a sword, I don't think he'd be able to hold back and he would kill him with it. But yeah, Julius is Julius as we know him right now, and even suspecting that this could be the Reed Astrea from the moment that he introduced himself as a stick swinger, he still had to, try and follow the ideal knight regiment, or guideline, if you will. To attack an unarmed man is an act that would disgrace any knight, which is just interesting, because considering how Reed was apparently this legend that all the knights seem to adhere, on what his code they think was, at the very least, to a good extent. I feel like Julius does it more than most, because that's like a big part of his identity, but still, how did we get from Reed to the current Knights of Lugunica? It's just, feels like quite the overcorrection. But yeah, Reed doesn't take him seriously, and well, Julius tried, but he still went and attacked Reed with his sword, despite the fact that Reed didn't pick up his. So that's when we get Reed stopping him with the chopsticks, and yeah, starts destroying him. But I think something to note is that Julius is very much rigid and sticks to a very predictable set of attacks with his sword. And it's just no match for the kind of variety of attacks that Reed can do. Not to say that if Julius started using more, hand-to-hand combat, he would have a chance. But it's more so about, not being so chained to, what is a knight supposed to be like. But yeah, then Fotsidna starts helping him, but it's not so much what she does, but how she does it. There's a very much intense look in her face when she's casting spells to try and help Julius, to the point where she bleeds from her nose and faints. So, like, was that Foxigna, or is there a chance that this could have been Anastasia's, consciousness showing? Perhaps. We won't know until she wakes up again. But yeah, once Julius sees that she goes down for the first time in the fight, and actually the only time in their two fights, Julius does something unorthodox and, uses his sword to stop Reed from keep on dragging him through the ground, and stabs the ground there. And not only that, he kicks Reed, or tries to anyway. But that's huge for Julius. I could be wrong. I think we might have seen him do something like this when fighting Roy in season 3. And that was, I think, also when he was like really, really agitated about Roy talking about Joshua and Julius not knowing, why he's upset and he can't remember. So, Julius being forced to show his emotions in a raw and just very outward way is when he is willing subconsciously to throw away what he's taking as being the greatest knight, the ideal knight, and is able to, I assume, more of who he truly is. But unfortunately, it's only a glimpse, and he starts going again how he was doing, just the predictable, rigid set of attacks, and Reed calls them boring again, and just, he's like, don't make me laugh. You're boring me. Oh, and he says, this is the best you got, if this is the best you got, you're gonna disappoint me. If you want to get to that woman, I'll let you go. Crawl into her nice soft lap to cry and beg for attention. You ugly, useless excuse for a knight. So I feel like I'm remembering Subaru, season 1, episode 8, when Emilia first gives him his first lap pillow, and at first he's just like still trying to act tough and not really, he doesn't want to use the lap pillow to appear as weak, and so it takes some some talking to from Emilia to finally bring his walls down and actually be vulnerable and cry his eyes out. And I feel this is the implication here. That's what Reed is telling him to do, but Julius doesn't want it because it would make him seem weak and unworthy of being Anastasia's knight. So he just keeps on going and ignores what Reed says until he breaks his sword, which I feel is, gonna be very important. He broke Julius' sword. That was like, okay, he doesn't have his spirit arts, but he can use his sword. And now he doesn't even have that. So this is, I feel like, big for like, you know, I feel like he's gonna have a big metamorphosis as a character. Now that he can't use that as a crutch. And has to go outside the box. And, you know, to realize that and accept that he doesn't have to be the greatest knight. And, or rather, he can be the greatest knight. But that doesn't mean he has to deprive himself from showing his emotions and from hiding parts of himself. And that shows in the way that he fights. And that's why Emilia, being the one to fight Reed next, it's a really good pick narratively. Because she's like the opposite of that. She's not shackled by this knight code. She just fights the way that she is. You know? Like, okay, something doesn't work, I'll do something else. Okay, this didn't work, I'll just do this other thing. And I'll just keep on inventing new methods and new strategies until something finally sticks. Whereas Julius was just doing the same thing, you know, running into that same wall and crashing without trying anything different. Also, something cute that I noticed is that Emilia named her attacks in English, and I feel like she got that from Subaru. Being inspired by, you know, the person that loves her the most, not counting Buck. And she even says, this is how I learned to do things from my knight. And I just love, you know, Subaru inspiring people to become better version of themselves. It's not just Julius this episode. Emilia is another example of that. So, yeah. So let's go just real quick. When we see the first flashback in the second fight. Let me see what Reed says. How long have you been using a sword anyway? It's only been 3 months for me. And then we get to see when Julius started. And he started very young. And I feel like that gives me the impression that Julius is thinking, oh, I've been dedicating my whole life to this. And it's not enough. It will never be enough. I'll never be the best. What's the point? So I'm just gonna skip over some things because I already talked about them last time. Then we go into sort of carrying him, and he says, Julius asks, will Lady Anastasia will be alright? And Subaru answers, her life is not in danger. Which I feel is another sort of parallel. That Julius went out there to fight Reed again, where I feel like, you know, him being the knight he should be, you know, putting his lady first rather than himself. He should have stayed with her until she woke up, but he didn't. His pride was more important. Once again, like, Subaru just going to fight Julius in season 1 and leaving Emilia instead of waiting for her. And then we get this. Julius is asking over Subaru if he can let him down. And Subaru's like, everyone already saw me carrying you earlier. Except Shaula and Anastasia, since they were unconscious. And Julius, like, at that moment, he just decides, that will be my reason. I will not let Lady Anastasia see, and then he gets interrupted. But once again, it's Julius using Anastasia, his lady, his princess, to using her as an excuse to, you know, so his pride won't feel tarnished, so he won't feel weak and inadequate. Instead of just outright saying it, he has to use her as a reason for that. And that just gives big Subaru vibes once again. You know, episode 13, season 1. And just, I love Subaru just not letting him posture and basically saying, you know, like, this is all just, you're being dumb. I know it because I've been dumb. So let me carry you. Yeah, there was no way to get it out of your system. And I just feel like from Subaru's perspective, he wishes there was someone who could have done this for him. So he's doing this for Julius, because he knows it firsthand what this is like. And yeah, there was, you know, for Subaru, Wilhelm, he recognized him and told Subaru about it, but that's it. He didn't make this grand big gesture. But it really means a lot, because it's Subaru doing this for the guy that opened his eyes and in a way protected him. And if it wasn't for Julius getting this knot out of him and, you know, kickstarting Subaru's development to see Emilia as a whole person and not use her to feel better about himself and just, you know, play the hero, then Subaru would not be the person that he is right now. So, yeah. And it doesn't need to be spelled out, but I'm sure Julius can tell why Subaru is doing this. Just like Julius recognized it from the first day he met Subaru. That, oh, you know, this guy, he's just as hungry for self-validation and approval as me. And he felt so seen, you know? He kinda, it was love at first sight, if you will. But anyway, I feel like this is the most I've talked ever, maybe, about a previous episode in a, you know, new episode reaction. But screw it, that episode was fantastic. So let's get to the new one in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I love her. 仲間。You better. I mean, I don't believe Julius is all done. You know, his character arc, I mean, is just the start. What? Oh. I mean, I'm sure Ram is right. And I'm sure Julius is more than aware of that already. Uh-uh. We didn't need to see this again. Oh, that's a little scary. Cute. Oh. Okay. Oh, it's so cute. Oh, they're so sweet. Their dynamic means so much to me. Ooh. I wonder where they got the ingredients and how did they cook it? Why is she calling her that? Okay. She's 400 years old. Right. Sure. Oh, he's gonna give Julius company. Oh. Oh, I bet. Oh, Patrashe? What's going on? Subaru, wake up. Is Flexidna not there? Huh? Did she wake up? Uh, what's happening? Oh, uh, is the bird glowing for us? Or can Subaru see that? I have a bad feeling about this. A feather? Whoa. I really don't think Subaru should be doing this alone. This is unwise. Oh, but Sita? Huh. Yeah, it is suspicious. Interesting. Let's. Yeah. Can she be more specific? It doesn't help with how much magic she used in last episode. What's the reason? Julius! Oh shit! So he didn't know. I thought his sword broke. Yeah, let's just put it all out in the open. I knew that was gonna hurt him. And you should know how much that means to him. Oh. Me too, I want to know. Yeah. It could. It only must have made it worse. Okay. Mm, I. Uh, oh my god. It's complicated. You'll find out later. Oh, I missed Subaru calling her that. He hasn't done that since season 1, I feel like. I feel like you need some sleep, Subaru. Uh... Okay. What happened? Why is he in the healing room? What did he do? Oh my god, what happened in the time we didn't see? Is it just me or does his hair look different? You're joking. You're joking, this is not happening. What the fuck? What happened? He lost his memories? Dude. Whatever we didn't see was of utmost fucking importance. What the fuck? How? Oh god. How long is he gonna stay like this? Surely not the whole arc. Well, I guess the rest of the arc. Yeah. I was like, yeah. Only like 2 little tufts of hair have ever been in his forehead. And now there's a bunch of strands. So I guess it's for us to differentiate. Amnesiac Subaru? But like... But like... We just don't have anything, I feel like, to... At least I don't have anything that I can grab onto to try and make a theory on the how. But just as the title implies, yeah, his memory was wiped all the way to, like, if I were to put it in simple terms, I guess, like, this is a Subaru that just got transported into this world. And that's, you know, that's the first thing he's seeing. This is, okay, super interesting though. I wonder, I was not expecting this whatsoever. There's so much that I wanted to talk about, but like, I don't want to say so much, like, it's mainly the Julius stuff, but where are we going from here? Bro, no way the story just took away all of Subaru's development. Like, obviously he's gonna get it back at some point. But I don't like looking too much into the opening, but I swear, now that I'm thinking about it, he had that hairstyle at some point in the opening. Maybe when he's going up the steps? I don't know. Maybe that's how he's gonna regain his memories? Anyway, that's enough theorizing about that. Theorizing, I don't think I can call it a theory at this point. My heart is going to break seeing Amelia and realize that Subaru is not able to recognize her, or Beatrice too. Like, there's just all of the effort that he put into the relationship with her is just put in limbo right now. Okay, that's enough for the end of the episode. So, oh my god. Like, it's like, no, I want to talk about it, but at the same time, it's like, Subaru doesn't have his memories, so I guess when he gets them back, what happened this episode will matter again in regards to his character arc and his relationship with Julius. But yeah, it's just it's I'm sure, you know, I love it when Subaru gets it all back. I'm sure it'll be some peak, but like, I'm sure the story wants me to feel as frustrated as I do just doing that to my boy. Yeah, that little moment when Subaru goes to Julius and he's like just unsure of what he's going to say when Anastasia awakes, and then it's like, oh, he didn't have to, you know, come up with anything because Anastasia's not here right now. Granted, I feel like we'll get Anastasia back eventually, and that's when we'll get Julius having a lot to say to her, catching her up to speed. Although we don't know if she's, you know, aware of everything that's happening, or if she's just like asleep there. But yeah, it's nice seeing Julius like this, and just like he's very much aware of how, you know, his actions last episode were so self-serving, and that brings him shame. But just like Subaru said last episode, it might not have been something, you know, necessary from anyone else's point of view, but from Julius, it was something that he, you know, he needed to see, that he indeed cannot break through this wall in the way that he'd been going at it. He just had to see for himself that he's not at a point in his life where, you know, he's not the person that he wishes he could be at this moment, and that angers him to no end, but mainly to himself. And the way that he takes it out is by getting himself beat up. And in a way, really, I feel like that should count as self-harm. And just, I feel like by the second time that he went to fight Reed, he definitely knew he couldn't win, like Subaru said. And yet, he just couldn't accept it, so he kept going. And very much knowing that he was putting himself first above Anastasia. And Subaru telling him here, I've been worried about you, I'm glad you're okay. That should be the first thing you say when she wakes up. And it's only what you say after that you really should be asking yourself about. You know, basically, it's not about you. It shouldn't be about you, you know, going about your whole emotional turmoil first. It should be about putting herself first. And yeah, making sure that she's alright. And Julius is just like relieved. And yeah, you think so freely. I envy you for that. That's definitely one of the reasons why Julius admires and wishes. You know, like Subaru rubs him the wrong way sometimes because Julius wishes he could be as open with his emotions as he is. Then we get Anastasia accusing Subaru of being like, who the hell are you, really? Because there's no record of you before you ended up in Lagunica. So what the hell is up with that? And I was like, that's valid. And I'm surprised that no one has confronted Subaru about this before. Truly. Yeah, he would be suspicious with that. And I was actually wondering or thinking, like, is Subaru gonna tell her, like, I come from beyond the Great Waterfall? I feel like that would be an explanation that would be, you know, something that people from this world could accept. But, like, he didn't even try. He just kind of, like, just let her keep on questioning him. And, you know, he kind of deflected it by seeing that Floxedna is actually afraid of him. And you know what? I think from her perspective, it makes sense. Especially with the way that she phrases things. Yeah, he's, you know, from the POV of someone who hasn't seen him fail as many times as we have. He's you know, a fierce person who just seems to stumble upon conquering every obstacle he comes across on the first go, and just knows the correct answer to a lot of questions that he really shouldn't have. So, you know, what is his deal? But yeah, like, you know, Subaru just going, you know, I don't know why Shaola sees me the way she does. I don't know, truly. You know, if it was really a coincidence that I was able to have the answer for the exam so quickly. And she doesn't believe him. Because, yeah, it is shady, and he doesn't have an actual explanation backed by evidence. But then, yeah, he turns it back on her, and then, you know, she goes on, and Julius shows up. And yeah, I was concerned about Julius finding out, because it would be pretty heart-shattering for him that, as we saw last episode, at least the implication is that Anastasia and Subaru are the two people in the world that Julius would be the most scared to disappoint or be seen as incapable to, you know, meet the standards of knight that he pushes himself to be. So him not being able to identify that Fotsidna was in charge of Anastasia's body when Subaru could, who is someone that knows her way less. And I think it's because of that it is more likely that Subaru caught on to that, because Julius is so close to Anastasia, and he puts her as way above himself, that he just cannot have a objective view of her, you know, the bias is way too much. And so that affected, I feel like, the way that he sees her. And I don't think it ever crossed his mind that, you know, Anastasia may be a merchant and she hides her true intentions from a lot of people, but surely not from Julius, right? And it just, you know, the fact that she didn't confide in him and trusted him enough with this information, it just builds up for Julius to feel all the more inadequate as a knight, specifically rather, as Anastasia's knight. And it is interesting that Subaru was like, wait, you're really gonna take her word for it just like that about why she tried so hard using magic and everything to help you? So yeah, that's interesting. I'm guessing because Subaru wouldn't take that, wouldn't accept that. And that's when Julius goes, I apologize for getting you involved in this strange misunderstanding. This problem remains strictly your own. It is nothing you need to concern yourself with. Then Subaru goes, how I take things is up to me. Oh, and then Julius says, so you'll accept things as you wish, but you won't allow me to accept my problems my way? Like, oh, that hurt. Because at first I was like, yeah, I mean, Subaru is already involved. It feels selfish of Julius to just remove him from this after it was just Subaru and Fotsidna, when Julius wasn't able to tell it wasn't Anastasia. So, but then Julius just stabs him with this words sharper than the sword. You won't allow me to accept my problems, man. Basically calling Subaru a hypocrite. just said, yeah, you didn't tell me about Anastasia and Echidna. And Subaru gets taken aback. And Julius recognizes that what he just said is harsh. And it's dripping with personal, very personal feelings, mainly resentment and hurt, really. But yeah, he sees it right away and apologizes because he knows that's what he was doing. And yet, he still sticks with, it is true. I may not have worded it the best way, but you're still staying out of your own problems. You don't have a say anymore. Oh, and then right as he's leaving, we get this. I know what you were thinking and why you hid the truth from me. You meant no harm. You only did it out of concern and sympathy. If our positions were reversed, perhaps I would have refrained from telling you as well. But still, I did not want you or Anastasia to think that I'm not worth you being a knight. Obviously, it wasn't said by either of them, but that's how Julius took it. That's what their actions signified for him. And I feel like it's just another push, or rather kicking Julius further down into this hole until he reaches, the very bottom, and he won't be able to climb up until he does that. But there's still a lot of things that Julius has to wrestle with in regards to how other people perceive him, how he thinks other people perceive him, and how he perceives himself. That, some things weren't how he thought. And that's part of what he needs to change. Maybe, Subaru and Anastasia keeping this from him. It did lie a little on how Julius functions as a person and his worldview. And Subaru and her took it upon themselves to protect him from that. But by doing that, they just made him think that he's not worthy to do the protecting. That's how I just hope that Julius takes something positive out of this and changes the way he sees things. but I'm still not sure how he'll go about this. So we'll just have to keep watching and see. Once again, this was a long video, but I don't mind it. I love this series and I love talking about it. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Till next time, see ya.